We just had another workout in the Thoughtfully Fit gym, a free workout, and we had a huge turnout today, which makes me think that the topic really resonated with a lot of people, or maybe we're just really awesome. And although my imposter syndrome doesn't allow me to believe that.
Perhaps both can be true. But yes, the topic for today was imposter syndrome. And so what is imposter syndrome? It's these feelings of inadequacy that sort of linger and persist regardless of the success that we have. So, I mean, Darcy, we've been doing these workouts all along, and yet there's still imposter syndrome popping up of like, why are people showing up? That's not uncommon. And in fact, 82% of people have experienced thoughts that they haven't earned their success. And more than likely, if you're experiencing imposter syndrome, you're a high achiever. And it makes sense when you think about it. You can't experience imposter syndrome and that you're about to be found out and all your success is based on luck and all of these things if you haven't experienced success. And so you experience that success, and then these imposter thoughts can sort of come in and shake you up a little bit here. So what we did today was we looked at the thoughtfully fit practice of endurance, of recognizing when you are high achieving, when you are working towards those big goals, doing new things, there are going to be obstacles. And it's not a matter of how do you eliminate those obstacles as much as what can you do to overcome those obstacles. They're inevitable. So instead of trying to prevent them, what can you do when those obstacles pop up?
And it's just like if you're physically fit and you have endurance, you train and practice. You build your endurance by practicing and training. And that's what endurance in the thoughtfully fit model is training to practice to be able to overcome those obstacles instead of avoid them or try to prevent them. Or the reason you have obstacles is because you are successful and you're doing big, important things.
So when those feelings, those thoughts of imposter syndrome pop up, the goal is not necessarily to eliminate them or pretend that they don't exist or try to avoid it. When you experience that imposter syndrome, this is where you can engage your thoughtfully fit core. And that first step is to hit the pause button. When you're noticing those thoughts, hit that pause button, ideally without the judgment. Without saying, oh, here are those imposter thoughts again. I can't believe I'm still dealing with this. Hey, everybody deals with it, right? You know, this is something Paul McCartney wrote a song about it. Google it. Like he has these imposter syndrome thoughts. He's Paul McCartney, right? Like, so pause when you're noticing that so you can set yourself up to think. And there's a couple of questions here that you can ask yourself then. First of all, before you ask those questions, take some time to write those imposter thoughts down. Get them out of your head and write them down, because sometimes even just writing down those thoughts of Darcy's going to fire me if I don't do this correctly. As soon as you see it written down, like, you are being ridiculous. What's going on here?
Yeah, and in the workout, I'm just looking in the chat here. We had a couple people writing in the chat. They're going to discover that you have no idea what you're doing. Who are you to be doing this? Who do you think you are? You're not qualified. You don't have an MBA. How could you ever run a business? Oh no, I'm not an expert. You're one mistake away from losing your job. I mean, I'm just giving some. The list goes on and on and on and on. So clearly, there's a lot of these thoughts that we have.
Yeah. And one of the things that came up as people were sharing those imposter thoughts was, I'm not alone. And that's one of the deceptions, if you will, of imposter syndrome, of this feeling of I'm the only one experiencing these thoughts. I'm the only one thinking this. And when you talk about imposter syndrome, you notice you're not the only one having these thoughts. And there's value to getting them down, writing them down, talking about it, then asking yourself some questions. How are these imposter thoughts serving me? Which might sound counterintuitive, but there is often a little nugget of value, whether it's, I don't want to appear foolish. I want to make sure I'm prepared. I do have high standards, so I want to make sure I'm meeting those high standards. There's usually some value or some way that it's serving you. What you also want to be looking out for is how is it also sabotaging you? So this is where you can ask that second question of, what do you know to be true? Is perfection possible? Probably not. Are you spending too much time trying to get to perfection? Maybe, right? This is your workout and you get to decide. Because once you take the time to think, then you can take action based on what you know to be true. That's the key, to take action based on what you know to be true, not that chirping imposter syndrome voice that might be running in the background.
And we welcome you. If you have not experienced the Thoughtfully Fit gym before, we do several free workouts a month. We would love to have you join us. Every time there's a new topic, and it's amazing, at least I find it amazing, to connect with other people and explore a topic that a lot of times we don't hit the pause button to think about, and yet many of us are struggling with, and be able to leave and act and be able to handle yourself more thoughtfully. So thank you for joining us today to engage your core when you're experiencing imposter syndrome. We'd love to hear from you if this sparks something, and we'd love to see you in an upcoming workout of the Thoughtfully Fit gym. Thank you so much.